So this was supposed to be a post on my Facebook page, and I was actually too lazy to sit down and write it down. And it went like, or what I was thinking to write, it was, I think we all gonna regret not giving Trump the Peace Prize for this year. And with the latest developments and with the latest updates, I think we definitely gonna regret, or we already regret that, because I think he would have been, I don't know, acting as like a peace man if we would have provided him with that. But now that we don't, he actually stated himself, why shall he care or consider peace first? I don't know, the relationship with the US is a bit, and China and Russia, is a bit, from day one, when I started to live actively in Norway and moved to Norway, first thing I reacted on, I was like, why the Norwegian have a so messed up relationship with the Russians? Just living next door, they can literally walk into here, and I'm not talking about imposing power or anything, but why don't you have a good relationship with your basically neighbor, instead of forming allies and investing across the ocean on the other side of the world with the US government? Doesn't mean that you have to have a bad relationship with the US government, but the logical thing is to be good on good terms with your neighbor right next door. And I don't understand at which point of the Norwegian history that Norway have shifted so bad towards the US against the Russians, especially also when you see in Norway how is the social communism running, how the people are being treated, how is the government, how is the formation, how the people has free healthcare, free education, and so on and so forth, which is basically matches your neighboring, in a way, history, or your neighbors, I'm talking about the Russians here, ideology. Something I never understood, and I still think that Norway will regret that choice and regret gambling all, or putting all their eggs in one basket and gambling all their money, putting all this investments in the US, while there is a lot they could do if they have more balanced relationship towards the EU and towards the Russians especially, because they still have, even in Scandinavia, see Norway, Sweden and Denmark, they don't get along, and with such a countries that with really very similar, very 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 similar, especially if you're from the outside. I don't understand how, and they have also characteristics of being with small population, so unity would strengthen them, especially that they are all rich countries and they have a lot of things to fear for. I think the Norwegian politicians, it came to the time now that they need to kind of like stop and think for a moment and about how their allies formations are, starting with the nearest neighbors, with the most similar, and then expanding from that small circle outwards, instead of just throwing all your eggs in a basket across the ocean, especially if that basket is basically planning to take your eggs and break them if you don't give it to them.